Hi everyone, it's Chelsea from Little Mountain Ranch and I got my seed order in. I thought, I've actually restrained myself now for 3 days, nobody in my house can believe it, to not open this box so that I could actually film it and you guys could see it and get the excitement out of it. As maybe not as much as me, but close anyway. There, that's way better. Okay, this is something that I am really excited about, that I have been wanting to try for a long time. I think I first saw these used on Justin Rhodes' channel, but they are soil block makers. And there is a recipe, I guess it would be called a recipe, but for the mixture that you use to make these soil blocks. I got an extra large one. And it also has, you can see this part in here that will have, so in the soil block, there'll be like a chunk missing out of it. And then these smaller ones are designed to fit in here. So what you do, this is what I understand, is you start your seeds in these ones, the ones this size. And then when when the roots start showing on the outside of the soil block, then you make these ones and put the soil block into this for them to grow out, and then you plant the one that's this size in your garden. And that just sounds like a fantastic idea to me. I've used peat pots for a long time. I've used little seed trays, and because I'm gardening on such a large scale now, I needed something that was way more economical than that, and this seemed like a good way to go. So I will let you know how these work when I actually start, and I should be starting in about 2 weeks, getting some seeds going. So I will show you how it works. All right, these are all my seed packs, which I'll show you each one of these. But I wanted to show you this. This is the reason why this box was so humongous. But this is called Gaia Green all-purpose fertilizer, and this is a certified organic fertilizer, and apparently it's a fantastic fertilizer for pretty much anything, for vegetables, for flowers, whatever. And you only have to use, so this bag here will cover 50 square meters or 540 square feet. And but it also works for like hanging baskets, potted plants, and all of that kind of stuff. I was looking for something that I could use in my greenhouse and then also use in certain areas of my gardens. Last year's garden was becoming a little bit depleted, so I'm hoping this is really going to help it out. So now let's get to the seeds. That's the fun part. Okay, I think I'll bring you guys down a little closer. I'll organize all these seeds while I'm showing you into piles according to what I need to plant in what order. So what seeds I need to start mid-February and so on up until planting season, and then I'll just put the ones aside that I am not going to be using. Okay, so this one is an early cucumber. We have a pretty short growing season. Normally we can usually plant by May 20th, but by the end of August we have frost, and vine plants like cucumbers and squashes and things like that do not handle frost at all, so we need short season growing. So that is what I got these for. So this one is a 3 to 4 weeks before you start. Most cucumbers and squash and things like that are like that, 3 to 4 weeks before you're planting. So I will put these ones in at the end of April is when I'll start these. I got lots of different carrots. I'm just gonna organize these all into piles, and then I will show you them too, because I just think that'll be easier. This is a lot of seeds. What I'll do is, because this is just so many for me to name out every single one and type and everything, here on the video will take forever. So I will list down below all of the different seeds that I bought. And then I'll also put a link to the website that I buy from. I can highly recommend them. I've been buying seeds from them for a long time now, and I have rarely ever had seeds not germinate, and they've just been fantastic. All of these seeds that I bought here are certified organic. The majority of these are also heirloom seeds. I've mentioned this before, that growing organically is something that's really important to me. One of my favorite plants to grow, anything that's on a vine, I love to grow. And squash is one of my favorite vegetables to eat, so I grow quite a lot. So I have an acorn squash, an early butternut squash, spaghetti squash, which grows really, really well here. This is a prolific plant. And the thing that I love about spaghetti squash is it stores forever. I have had squash that have been in my cold room for a year and have still been good. So this is a really, really good one for long-term food storage, spaghetti squash, and it's prolific. I think on one vine, we may have had upwards of like 15 squash or something like that. It was a lot. So that's that. For turnips, we don't love turnips, but they are decent in a stew or fried up thinly. Parsnips and rutabagas. The reason that I didn't get this pack does not have a lot of seeds in it. Huh. I'm going to have to buy some more of these. I don't know what I was thinking. This only has 25 seeds, which is not enough. One of my goals with my garden is food storage in the winter time. So I buy vegetables that we may not absolutely love, but work really well to bulk up soups and stews and that kind of thing in the winter time and store well. So rutabagas, parsnips don't store as well, but rutabagas and turnips store incredibly well in my root cellar. So that's why I grow those. Beets, who does not love beets? Beets are the best thing in the world. All my kids probably could pipe up in the background and say, we don't love beets. But I love beets. I love canning pickled beets or just plain in water. They're really good. And then one of my favorite ways to use beets is in borscht, of course, and also cut up and thrown in with potatoes and parsnips and rutabagas and onions and then baked in the oven. They caramelize really nicely. So I bought 1, 2, 3, 4 different varieties of beets, all good for storage. Lettuces, I don't grow a ton of lettuce because it bolts really quickly. So I do staggered planting. So every 2 weeks I'll put in seeds. But once it gets super hot here in the summertime, midsummer, and then they're just not going to grow again. And because we get frost so early, we can't really do another planting kind of toward when it starts getting cooler in August, at the end of August, because we're going to get frost and this is not going to work for frost. So I just buy a couple of different varieties here. These ones, which one's here? So I bought a romaine, butterhead. Butterhead lettuce is my favorite, and I find that butterhead lettuce stands up to the heat better than some of the other lettuces. So that's what those are. Kale. I love kale. One of the things that I do with kale, hey, Sam, could you bring me the jar of dried kale from the kitchen? It's down by where the popcorn maker is. Kale is something that it grows well here. It withstands frost well, and I found a way to preserve kale to be able to use it in the winter, and I'm going to show you that here. Sam's bringing it over to me. Thank you. So this is dried kale. This is not the cleanest bottle in the world. So this is dried kale. I can't even remember how much kale it took to fill this jar, but it was a lot. So I plant a ton of kale and then I put it in my dehydrator. I have an Excalibur dehydrator, and I dehydrate it and then I run it through the food processor and just make it so it's quite fine, like you can see there. And then I add this to smoothies and I add it to spaghetti sauce. I make a really yummy spaghetti sauce. I have kids doing stuff in the background. They're being silly. I add, can you guys just stop? I add this, I make a really good spaghetti sauce and I add quite a bit of this to the spaghetti sauce, and it adds a nice flavor to it, but it's not like really coarse like kale can be. I take all of the, what's it called? Spines? I can't think of what it's called. No, the like spine part of the kale, I cut that out and just dehydrate the softer leaf part. And then, then I add that into smoothies and sauces throughout the winter time and soups and anything else. So it's a really good preserving thing. And most people know these days that this stuff is chock full of good nutrients. So I have 4 different kinds of kale, and my very favorite kale for making kale chips or for dehydrating is this stuff here. pumpkins. I always call this stuff dinosaur kale because it looks like something that would have grown during the Cretaceous period or something. But the nice thing about this kale is, unlike a curly kale like this, which is really delicious, but it is a little bit more difficult to cut up and put into a dehydrator. But the leaves on this are smooth and they're really easy to cut the spines out of and dehydrate, and it's a really nice kale. So I plant a ton of kale, and this will be a seed that I will start pretty quickly. Bush beans and some pole beans. I have not had excellent luck growing beans. So when I go to plant my beans, I will show you what I'm doing, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, I'm not sure. But I do know that they need really warm soil to germinate, so maybe that's my problem, I don't know. But I'm gonna try a couple of other, there were a couple of my seeds that were back ordered. I got a yellow string bean as well. But I'm just gonna give it a try because I'm on a mission to eventually be able to can. I love pickled beans, to be able to make pickled beans and freeze some. I do not grow a lot of corn because corn in my particular area, I haven't mastered growing corn here, other people have, but I did get a really early variety of peaches and cream corn that I'm gonna give a try, and that's more just a fun one to grow. Pumpkins. This is the cutest pumpkin. These are called something in French that I cannot read. No. It's not really focusing. This is wanting to focus on my face instead of on this. But this is an eating pumpkin. So I got a little pumpkin and then a big giant pumpkin, and that's more to just grow for fun and for jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween for the kids. Love cabbage. So to store cabbage, I'll show you all this stuff in the fall, but you take it out, you actually pull the cabbage out by the root and clear all the dirt off, and then hang it upside down or put it on a shelf in your root cellar, and it'll last for, I think I had one last for a couple of months. So it'll last for quite a while, but then you can also make sauerkraut with it, which I'm gonna do lots of, much to my kids. They actually you guys can moan like audibly so that they can hear the sound effects in the background. Oliver said it.
I do not like sauerkraut.
No, sauerkraut is not something that everybody loves here. I like it, Dan likes it. Do you like it, Kate? No, Kate doesn't like it. I don't know if anybody...
It's sauerkraut.
Yes, I suppose it is called sauerkraut. It's not the most attractive sounding name. However, it is, I like anything that I can grow that I can store in the wintertime and put up for winter. I am happy to do, because groceries cost us a lot of money in the wintertime. And and sauerkraut is super duper nutritious. So that will be something I'll be doing with those. And then I tried some okra, getting some okra seeds this year. I have never even tried okra before, but in watching YouTube, everybody down south grows okra and says it's really good. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm about to find out. This is a short season variety. So we'll try it. I'll let you know what I think. Generally, I don't grow peas just because I find that the amount of space they take up combined with the amount of labor to actually shuck them and get enough to make a meal for my family is more work than it's worth. But the kids requested that I grow a few this year, so I bought two different kinds. I bought a shelling pea and a snow pea for the kids to plant because they're going to do their own little garden this year. So that's that. Spinach, love and absolutely adore spinach. So when I was showing you how I deal with my kale, you can do the same thing with spinach, because spinach is has a fairly short time to grow in the garden before it bolts, but you can harvest it. You can harvest it as it comes along, and then dehydrate it and then use it for winter. Or I actually don't know what other ways you could preserve spinach besides freezing, and I'm trying to get away from doing a lot of freezing just because of the risk of having power go out and then losing everything that's in my freezer. I'm trying to do things like dehydrating and more canning and fermenting and that sort of thing. So if any of you have any suggestions on ways to preserve spinach besides freezing, do let me know. Cucumbers, I mentioned this before, I love doing pickles, making pickles and growing cucumbers. So I got one that's actually called homemade pickles. This is a patio snacker one. The other thing that I'm going to do is get away from planting flowers in all of my, like on my deck and that kind of thing, and actually plant food in there. So these I got to go in my patios on my deck, and they are supposed to be a small bush-like cucumber that doesn't grow big but is quite prolific, and that way I can just grab a few for lunch or whatever. So those I thought were a cute idea. And then this cool one, this one, I don't know if you can, this one is a super cool looking cucumber. Look at that. I wanted to plant a couple of these in my greenhouse, because one of the issues that I've been having with my greenhouse, and my brother-in-law Kyle's gonna say, I told you so, and that's that it's really hot and it needs a little bit of shade. So I'll be using some kind of shade device of some kind to cool it down, to just have it so it's not quite so hot in there. But I'm also gonna grow some of these vines to provide a little bit of shade up the side. And I just thought they were just the coolest looking cucumber. So I got a couple of those. And then lots of pickling cukes, because that is what I like. Brussels sprouts, these are just actually I only grow a few of these plants, and I grow them for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And these I do just freeze. I've heard that you can do the same thing you can do with cabbage, where you pull it out by the root and then hang it. So I will try that, but normally I just freeze these ones. This Swiss chard I plant every year. This Swiss chard is prolific. It's beautiful, and I fermented this not last year but the year before, so it ferments well and is colorful. And then we usually just pull it out of the garden as we need it and steam it we steam it for just as a side dish. If anybody has any other ways of preserving this, let me know. In fact, anything that I show you here, if you know how to preserve it, please let me know, because that's what it is about for me this year, is putting up as much food for winter as I possibly can. I showed you those already. Zucchini, I grow quite a few zucchini plants. They're the most prolific producer. If you want to ever feel like a good gardener, just plant a couple zucchini plants, because they will grow pretty much, just give them a little bit of water and they just will produce oodles and oodles and oodles of zucchini. But because we have pigs, any extra zucchini that I do end up with, I can just give to the pigs, or any of the monster ones that miss the harvest or whatever, I can get them. Just talking about harvesting and imagining going out into my garden in the morning and being able to pick zucchinis out of my garden just fills my heart with more joy than is probably reasonable. But it's today, like days like today, I'll have to show you outside, but it's snowing and we're supposed to get close to 2 feet of snow in the next couple of days. And so it's definitely has that dead of winter feeling right now, and I need to get my hands in some dirt. But yes, so zucchini, I actually make pickled zucchini. That is pretty good, just tastes like a pickle really, just not quite as crisp. But again, preserving, any tricks, let me know. Broccoli, my cauliflower is on back order, so I got a broccoli. And then a bunch of different kinds of tomatoes, Sweet Million, Red Robin. These are just ones that I'm growing in the greenhouse. We do usually have to grow tomatoes in the greenhouse here just because the season is so short. I'm only going to grow Roma or paste tomatoes this year for making salsas with. I order in my tomatoes from a producer that lives a few hours away from us every year, and I usually get 300 to 400 pounds at a time. And the other thing that I'm going to be ordering in this year is onions. I planted, if you look back to my onion planting video from last year, which I'll put up here, I planted close to 2,000 onions. And as you guys know, I lost my garden. So, but one of the things about onions is the amount of onions we actually need takes up so much space in my garden. And this producer, this farm that I found that's a few hours from us, they have them really affordable. So I bought several large, like giant monster bags of onions and hung them in my cold room. And I just ran out of them. The only thing I'm gonna find out if I can get them to do for me is to not cut the stems off and allow me to just pick them all up like that, and then I can braid them and hang them, just because they store longer that way than cutting the ends off. At least that's been my experience. So that is why you're not seeing any onions in my seed order. I'm really excited that I finally got to be able to open this box and share it with you. If you have any questions about any of the seeds I'm using or any recommendations of other seeds, I am going to be doing one more small order because the kids went through my seed catalog and there was some other ones that they wanted to get for their garden. But I am all about information, so anything you want to share with me about tricks and tips with gardening, let me know and I will share with you the journey into what I hope is going to be a really, really prolifically fruitful gardening season this year. So I hope you guys enjoyed that and enjoyed being able to see all of the things I'm going to be planting, and hopefully it gave you a little bit of taste of spring if you live somewhere where you are in the dead of winter. Like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, and I will talk to you soon. Bye everyone.